Alachua County Veterans Services Director Major Stroupe grew up in the Clearwater, Florida area and joined the U.S. Army in October of 1969. He served overseas in the Panama Canal Zone, Thailand, North Yemen, and Germany. He attained the highest enlisted rank of Sergeant Major. Major retired from the Army in 1996 after more than 26 years of active duty. His awards and decorations include the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medals, the Joint Service Commendation Medal, Army Commendation Medals, and Army Achievement Medals. Prior to coming to Alachua County, he served as the Veterans Service Officer for Levy and Gilchrist counties. He also serves the veterans of Florida as the County Veterans Service Officers Association's representative to the National Association of County Service Officers. He is a gubernatorial appointed representative to the Department of Elder Affairs Advisory Council. Major Stroupe is an accredited representative with the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, the National Association of County Veterans Service Officers, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. He is a lifetime member of the American Legion and the Non-Commissioned Officers Association. Welcome, Major.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
You know, one thing that we have to clear up right away, and I know you've never heard this in your whole life. When you were born and your parents named you Major Stroupe, was it a foregone conclusion that you would have a career in the service?
Well, yes, I've never heard that before, Mark. But seriously, that was, I was named after my grandfather. That was actually his nickname. We were raised in the mountains of North Carolina, and as boys will do up there, they get together and have their little groups, and they gave themselves their nicknames, and it just so happens my grandfather's nickname was Major, and it stuck with him his entire life. And it just so happens he passed away the year that I was born, so I never really got to meet him, but they named me in his honor, and by the way, he happens to be a World War I veteran as well.
Is that right?
So maybe it was a foregone conclusion.
So they took the nickname and they memorialized it in you.
Yeah, and I'm proud to wear it.
That's a great story. So there's a lot of Major jokes over the years.
Sergeant Major.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, you're, when did you get hired on in Alachua County? You've been here for what?
That would have been February 2 years ago, February of 2011.
Your predecessor, Jim Lynch, I think was the most interviewed person on Alachua County Talks. He was with us 3 or 4 times, and I've really been looking forward to having you on. And I think we've got a really a great reason to have you on today, and that's the evolution and the creation of a brand new event called the Alachua County Transition Veteran Information and Referral Day. That's a mouthful, but tell us what the focus of this event is.
Well, and it's funny that it ends up being a mouthful because we really wanted to have a shorter name for it, but it is kind of descriptive of what we're trying to do. The event, which takes place on March the 28th over at the Freedom Community Center at the Kanapaha Park, is really focused on our younger veterans coming out of the Iraq and Afghan wartime period. And what we looked at, Mark, is we're seeing these veterans come home, and to some of them, maybe Gainesville wasn't home, but maybe it is going to be now. And we wanted to let them know, above and beyond the briefings they get when they leave the military service, that these are some of the services that we have here locally so that we can better integrate them in with our community, welcome them, thank them for their service, and so that they can get on with their lives.
That's such an appropriate place to hold this event. For the folks at home that don't know, the Alachua County Commission recently used some of the wild spaces, public places, monies to build what was named the Freedom Center, Freedom Community Center. It's located at Kanapaha Park, where I think one of the most poignant veterans memorials I've ever seen in my life was built, and that's the, what is that memorial called? I guess that's all wars.
It's a walk through time.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, and this leads into another subject that we can talk about another time, but we're getting ready to even work on a walk through time so it will last maybe another 100 years.
Oh, is that right?
But that's a whole nother project. But I'm just very proud to be associated with the veterans community of Alachua County that has come together to bring not only the memorial to fruition, but then the building of this beautiful Freedom Community Center.
And how did this, I know Marie Small, who's in our Community Support Services department also, I know she's been involved in this somewhat too, hasn't she?
Yes, sir, very much so. She's really done the bulk of the PR work, if you will, to go out and reach out and touch local resources to invite them in to be part of this, so that we can bring these together, hopefully under one roof for one given part of a day, so people can go out there and get services and get familiar with things and learn how to get their Florida driver's license
right.
here, or find out about our health department and so on.
So you all, how did this, can you go all the way back to where this idea first popped up? How was this developed?
Well, we've been noticing, and even prior to my arrival here, with the Iraq and Afghan war going on, the troops have been starting to flow back, coming back out of the war zone. And we've been hearing the stories of the mass numbers that will be coming back to north central Florida. And right here in our backyard, Mark, we're blessed to have the Malcolm Randall VA Medical Center,
right,
which is part of the South Georgia, North Florida, the largest VA medical region in the whole VA system. And we realize that with that kind of draw, they're going to come, and some of them are going to want to stay here. Mm-hmm. Some of them may be here for an extended period of time, because we're also building the Gainesville Fisher House here, which is going to help house people temporarily while catastrophic wounded veterans recover. So with all these things going on and all these people coming back, we just started talking, and Marie and I happened to be talking one day, like, how do we get veterans and their families, their dependents and children, get them in school and get them familiar with the local community? And that pretty much just kind of got the ball rolling. And here's where we're at, where this is going to be the first time we're going to do it, and we're hoping it comes off well. But however it comes off, we want them to know that they're welcome in our community. We appreciate their service, and we want them to get familiar with what's here. So whatever assistance is available, they can reach out and touch it.
I understand it's your plan to not make this a one-time event. Is that correct?
Yes. We were hoping to do this once a quarter for 3 quarters out of the year. In other words, we'll do it once about March, once about June, July time period, and once September, October time period. Then, of course, the fourth quarter we would not have one, because that's generally in the time period that you have your holiday period and your Veterans Day celebrations and so forth. Mm-hmm. But we hope that we're able to do that and reach the veterans and their families and get them out here.
There are, I was reading about the scope of what you want to help folks with at this event, and it was very heartening to look at this list of things and realize what services we have available here in Alachua County, both from certainly the Board of County Commission programs, but also other programs. Like I understand that there will be information on emergency food and shelter for our veterans that are having a more difficult time. And unfortunately, that's a reality of there is a very large percentage of our homeless population that are veterans. So I see you're trying to get legal assistance information, emergency food and shelter information, information about giving people ability to make informed decisions about what's available to them. I'm sure Community Support Services is heavily involved in this. Absolutely, and they've been very supportive of us. And a lot of people don't even realize all of the service that is available right there. Yeah, yeah. So I assume the social services programs will have a presence?
Absolutely.
I just did an interview, actually, before I chatted with you. I chatted with Laura Colt at Victim Services, and I know they'll be involved. Crisis Center, we have Marshall Knutson that will be there. Are there other agencies outside of Alachua County?
Well, we're hoping to have some members of the VA, the Veterans Administration, some of the local community private business, such as to help people with private housing and real estate and so forth, legal assistance, as you mentioned. And I could just look at all of this and don't realize the scope of this sometimes, because the Freedom Community Center is only so big.
Right.
And we ran into this problem that, do you realize we've got over 23 vendors already committing to this? And I'm like, Marie, that's quite a load.
They all know and like each other, though, Major, so they won't mind sitting close together.
Well, they may be in close quarters, and that's fine.
Yeah.
We're hoping to have, with this flavoring them, maybe the next time we do that, maybe we'll have a different flavoring of some other people that may get interested and want to come out and assist us, and we certainly welcome them.
I'm sure that part of what attracts folks to Alachua County is the abundance of educational opportunities as well. Absolutely. Many folks are, the GI Bill still exists, doesn't it?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's in a new form now, the post 9/11 GI Bill. So right now the veterans separating have two GI bills, one of the old Montgomery GI Bill, or they can switch over to the post 9/11 GI Bill. And so, yes, they do still have that, and we of course have our educational facilities have been invited. So far we've had at least one of the 4 invited have already confirmed, and I feel pretty certain the others will.
I noticed also on your list that you had Florida Works had been invited to participate. We had Joe Johnson on the program earlier, and we've interviewed Angela Pate a couple of times. So that is a phenomenal resource to introduce these veterans to, because they do great work in terms of not only what employment is available, but the training opportunities available.
Yes, sir. And matter of fact, Joe has already confirmed that he'll be there.
All right.
But one of the things too, and this is, when you think about this market, it's based on need, you know.
Right.
Because if you think about a young separated military member, what are they looking for? You know, they need to get a job and get back to work. They're looking to go to school. They're looking for housing. They're looking to put the kids in school. I mean, there's a multitude of things.
And it seems like one thing that is heartening to me is, you know, I've been around since the time of the Vietnam War. I had a brother who did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. I was just a little too young for Vietnam. I had to get my lottery number, but the draft ended before my number came up. But I think we've come a long way since those days in recognizing some of the difficulties or challenges when you've been in the service, you've been overseas, you've been in sometimes in, you know, very extreme conditions. Yes. That, you know, it's not considered abnormal anymore. It's normal that those folks have a readjustment period, and it's just so, it is so satisfying that Alachua County takes that so seriously and has your office to assist. Gosh, you know, Major, I feel a responsibility. I am so impressed with this list that you all have put together. I noticed both the City of Gainesville and Alachua County's Equal Opportunity Office will be there. What kind of things will they be involved in?
Well, we're looking at things such as dealing with discrimination issues, letting them know their environment is, the avenues that they have if they run into any of these type of situations, both county and city, and how to go about dealing with them and the proper channels and so forth.
I know there are some organizations that have policies about giving veterans preference too in their hiring policies. Will Equal Opportunity have information about that?
I'm sure they will, yeah. As well as the Florida Works has that as well. So veterans preference has always been there, but the last couple of years they revised the veterans preference so that the state of Florida now really has a veterans preference statute that really makes sense, and you know, the people stand up to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of what you said, if I can just interject, from your experience from the Vietnam era to now too, we need to be reminded also that from the Vietnam era, we shifted from a draft or conscription service to an all-volunteer force.
Right.
And with that time passing by now, these people who are serving in the military, they're there because they all joined up.
Right.
And we found that because of that, a lot more of our service people are married and have children and so forth, percentage-wise,
Right.
than prior.
I see.
And so there's that focuses on different needs as well.
I see you've got the Alachua County Emergency Management, Evan Spellman. That's important stuff because a lot of our veterans have special needs. And when we have emergencies or tropical storms or wildfires or things of that nature, it's good to enroll and
Yes,
make sure that you you know what shelter to go to and that we are aware of your special needs concerns.
yes, sir. And in the military, they have what they call exceptional family members assistance, where if you have a helpless child or a child with need or developmentally behind, or I don't know what the right term for it is, but to be able to interact with our local county government and identify that, so that if we have an emergency situation, you know, they're on the list, they know what to do with them and what kind of accommodations are required.
You are going to be helping folks with insurance questions, voter registration, driver's license, library cards, birth certificate information. Obviously, you've got lots of information about the Gainesville Vet Center and the VA Medical Center, vocational rehabilitation questions. This event is March 28th at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I assume it's like an open house kind of thing. There's not just one presentation. You can come anytime in that time frame?
Yes, sir. We intend on initially for the opening to have each one of our participants get up and give about 2 or 3 minutes of, this is who I am, this is where what we do, and this is my table. Come by and talk to us about this.
Right.
And then from 10 to 2, we would just deal with the people that are there and give them as much assistance as we possibly can. And hopefully by the end of the day, they'll have resources to take with them, resource guides, a list of, if you will, of networking to help them, because maybe what doesn't apply today, maybe next week, you know,
Right.
Oh, I remember I talked about, this is the agency I need to call for that.
And another great thing about living in Alachua County is our veterans have the county's Veteran Service Office. This is a remarkable event. You guys do all kinds of remarkable events. I know you, one that we've been involved with helping you kind of get the word out on is your stand down event. Now I know that that's focused more for homeless vets, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell us, is that a similar kind of event where you try to
Well, as similar in nature, the participants, some of them will be the same, such as, you know, getting people with the Department of Children and Families and so forth, but it's focused towards that population that are homeless, whereas this here is not necessarily that focus. It's an open focus of, these are things you need to help you live in this community, because these folks may not necessarily be homeless, but they need to maybe find a place to live, or, you know, where is the health department? I don't know where that's at. What do they do over there? Those type of things.
Hey, Major, do you know approximately how many veterans are in Alachua County?
There's somewhere over 17,000 veterans in Alachua County.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. And we have, in my opinion, the largest, most active veterans community of which I've ever seen. And I've even challenged some of my fellow service officers at state and national conventions, and so far nobody's ever challenged me. So that must be true.
You know, when a veteran comes into town, or any veterans that are here, I assume that you encourage them to, what is it called? Do they register with your office or just come by and say hi? Or do you encourage a new veteran to come in and see what you have to provide?
Absolutely, yeah. When a veteran leaves the service, traditionally they are told during their out briefings, they get a form, it's called a DD Form 214. It's their report of separation. And they tell them, this is the most important document that you'll ever have, don't lose it. And when you get home, go see your local county veteran service officer and check in with them, because they can help you go for benefits.
Right.
Probably 9 out of 10 times they're busy with getting on with life and they forget that little piece of information.
Right.
But yes, we encourage them to come on in, check in with us. Matter of fact, if their home of record is Alachua County when they served, we should have a copy of their DD 214 on file, and we maintain that.
Huh.
So yeah, we ask them to come in, and if they need assistance, and we can point them towards the VA home loan program or the education benefits or whatever their needs may be, because benefits with the VA, while there are many, every single one of them you have to ask.
Right.
So you've got to know what question to ask. So we can help them develop those questions. What are your needs? Oh, you need this? Well, VA has a program for that. You need to fill out this form, or you need to contact so-and-so, and we can help them through that process.
So I know you must just get a wide variety of folks in, and folks who have a wide variety of needs.
Yes, sir.
What are the more dramatic kind of assistance that you've given to people over the years?
Well, and that varies, but a lot of people aren't familiar. But you know, let's say for example, you get on a VA program, such as a pension program or something, and for whatever reason your income changed, and you didn't realize, or you forgot to report that you started drawing Social Security. All of a sudden, you end up with an overpayment. Oh my goodness, the VA wants their money back. They want to draw back to where, you know, your eligibility ended. Now they come in and they have this huge overpayment, and what do we do about this? And in some cases, they literally can't afford to pay it all back, or they need to work out a payment plan or whatever. And we've dealt with a number of those cases. We've been successful in having some of those rewarded $40,000, $50,000 of just waiving the debt because they just did not have the ability to pay, or now they were disabled to the point that they can't work and there's no way that they could pay it back. So coming to the service office will help them do that. And you know, we've been very fortunate in working with our Pension Management Center in Philadelphia and getting pensions awarded for those who are now in need of aid and attendance and assistance with their daily living activities to help get them their pensions established. So it's been a very, very rewarding experience. You know, we're not in this job for the money. We're in to help veterans and their survivors, and just sometimes seeing the smile on their face, you know, that's all the reward you could ever need.
And I assume a lot of the services that you're going to have available at the information and referral day are just normal things that you provide day to day at your shop there when folks come in.
And some of it is, and some of it is stuff that, or information that we would maybe advise them to go look into further. Right. You know.
We're working on an interesting project right now with you and with Bob Gachet, who is kind of a local legend in the veterans community, and
yes.
And with your retired predecessor, Jim Lynch. As you know, we created a Veterans Memorial booklet, gosh, I guess it's been 7 or 8 years ago now. And through the help of your office and communications, and Roland Lug over in the Visitor and Convention Bureau is coming up with funding to produce a new Veterans Memorial Guide in Gainesville, Alachua County. And you know, it was amazing to me. I think since we did the last book a few years ago, we have discovered like another 20 small but poignant veterans memorials in Alachua County. You know, sometimes it's a little memorial in an abandoned cemetery somewhere, but it's just heartening to me that this seems to be a county, and it's like what you were saying about show me a county that cares more than Alachua County, but it's an amazing number of memorials that this community has taken. This community has a very deep, heartfelt appreciation and feeling for its veterans, and you must feel good about that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm honored to be part of that, and being associated with folks like Mr. Bob Gachet. He, like you said, he's a living legend of the community, and we always refer to him as the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Gachet just does not stop. He keeps going and going, and that's how he is discovering all these wonderful memorials out there. And oh my goodness, who would have known, you know? And if we would not have someone of this type pressing forward to look for these things, maybe these things would become obscure and never looked at again. So I'm very thrilled to see that we're going to be producing once again another Veterans Memorial book that will probably be twice the size of the first one.
You know, when it comes to Mr. Gachet, when he approaches us with an idea, we've learned that it's easier just to say yes right away. Have you noticed that it saves time?
It saves a lot of time because he just doesn't quit, and I'm proud that he doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's we're about out of time, but I'm so glad that we mainly we could talk about this really great event. And I would encourage, even if you're not a veteran, I would encourage folks to come out on that beautiful day and enjoy that memorial. For folks who haven't been to the Kanapaha Memorial, through stacked bricks, it shows the fatalities in every conflict that the United States has been in, and it's very moving, very graphic, visceral way to get a feel for the cost of war and the sacrifice that our veterans have made. But I thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate it. A pleasure, Mark.
Look forward to talking to you next time.
SocialSecurity.gov is so friendly.
It makes the crankiest Klingon smile.